getting closer to pushing me off a life's little edge. G'day guys, Chaos Chronicles. Alright, so today we're going to do a video on what is going to happen if you get caught being in a fight in prison. Alright, so let's get into it. So, alright, let's put a bit of context. So let's say you and another prisoner have just been in a fight and the screws have come and separate you. So from that point, obviously, they are going to separate you. So you're going to have one group of screws that are going to be like dealing with you, and then one group of screws that are going to be dealing with the other fella who you're fighting with. And so what they're going to do is they're going to take you straight down to, generally, they're either going to take you straight down to admissions, or they're just going to take you straight to the slot. Now what happens from then on is generally, like, different jails have different prisons, different jails, whatever you want to call it, have different like rules what happens in this situation. So let's use like Barwon. If we're going to use Barwon as an example, so if you were to get into a fight at Barwon, so from that point right then the whole jail is going to get locked down, because Barwon, unlike other maximum security jails in the state, is all the same yard. So there is Cassia, Illawarra, Diosma, and Eucalypt. So four units out there, and so what's going to happen is they are going to lock down the whole jail. Bang, whole jail's locked down, and then they're going to separate you. But Barwon does this funny thing, which is like, so if you lost that fight, so say for instance if you were unlucky enough to lose that fight, so at Barwon you're getting shipped off. So you are now getting moved to another jail, no questions asked, and that is generally what happens at Barwon. So if you lost the fight, you're going to go to another jail and you go to a slot in another jail. But the person who won the fight, he more than likely is, he's going to do definitely 30 days. So he's going to do, the 30 days for the fight, and then see what happens after that. But generally he's going to get cleared back out the back after the 30 days of a fight. Now depending on the severity of your fight, like I know at Barwon, if there's any shanks involved at all, like any shanks, any weapons involved at all, you're going to be doing maybe 3 months, and then onwards and onwards, depending on the severity of what you've done, you know what I mean? But at Port Phillip, like Port Phillip's pretty, you hear me say it all the time, it's where I spent 90% of my time. It's a maximum security jail, and it is a private. So the private sector of the prisons is corrupt as, and anyone who's done jail can tell you how corrupt the private sector of the Victorian prison system, Australian prison system. So I know in Queensland jails the private sector just got cancelled, so they're not allowed to do the private jails anymore. Well, that's what I was told. I don't know the particulars on that. I remember seeing it on the news as well. But so what's going to happen is you're going to get separated, and then you're going to get taken to, like I said, either admissions, but they mainly take you there just so they can separate you. And if you're going off and, you know, swinging at screws, and if they think that you've got other shanks, they're going to take you there and, you know, strip you and do all that shit. But generally you're going to go straight to the slot, which is what they'll do at Port Phillip. And like sometimes at Port Phillip you might even only do 2 weeks, and then you're going to get cleared out the back. Now Port Phillip has got, oh my god, I don't know how many yards there is, maybe 4 or 5 I will say. And so what they will generally do is they will, once you have a fight, they will, you know, assess how serious it is, and then they might put one of you guys in one yard and then another guy in another yard. But a lot of the times, and I've seen it so many times, they just clear these people back out into the same yard, and then, you know, this stuff is just going to happen all over again. But like, there is processes what most jails like. I know most jails, most government jails, if you get into a fight, you're going to be moving on. Like, especially if you're at a B rating or a C rating jail, if you get in a fight, you're going straight to maximum, and they'll make you sweat it out there. And but yeah, Barwon's a really, really funny one. If someone gets stabbed in the middle of the yard in Barwon, the whole jail gets locked down. But if somebody gets stabbed in the middle of the yard at Port Phillip, like, they'll clean up that, and then bang, like 10 minutes later, that yard is up and functioning and running again. Like, yeah, I've seen so many times where, like, they've just been itching to let people, like, serious crimes have taken place, and, like, say people have been stabbed pretty seriously, and they'll just let people back in themselves, and and then which is, I reckon they do it on purpose, because then the police can't come in and do their investigation. And it is a well-known fact that the jails don't want anyone from the outside coming in and messing up their jails. So many times I've seen people, get stabbed or whatnot, and then, they just let the people back in the cells and let the jail run as normal, and then, it messes up any evidence that they can use and this and that, and ruins the police's investigation. But here's the thing, if the police are involved, the news are involved, and that is exactly what any prisons do not want. They do not want any of the outside world knowing what is going on the inside. So, that's basically what happens if you get caught fighting, and then you're going to be disciplined for that. So they do have what's called a governor's court, and then you're going to go to the governor's court, and generally, you are going to pay a monetary fine, and you're going to have loss of privileges. So, you're going to lose phone calls sometimes. You're definitely going to be losing visits, and they're just going to give you, loss of privileges, things that you would normally have when you're not fighting. They will take all that shit off you. And so at Port Phillip as well, they've got a contract system. So they've got base, upper, and enhanced. So 3 different contracts. And then each contract has a different amount of stuff that you're allowed to do more than the next one. So I know when you're on base now at Port Phillip, you can't get certain shoes from the special buys, you can't do anything. It's absolutely shit. And then when you go on to upper, you are allowed to do more things. And then when you are on enhanced, you can get things like, you can get proteins, creatines, BCAs, all mad training stuff. You can get much more special buys. You can buy boxing equipment. So they will take those things off you, and they will smack you back down to base. And it takes 3 months. It takes 3 months minimum to graduate to the next. So if you are only doing a 6-month sentence, you ain't getting up on enhanced. It's as real as that. And so that's what's going to happen, and that's basically what happens when you fight. And then when, generally when you go to a governor's hearing for fighting, they will do exactly what I just said, that they're going to give you a monetary fine, and you cannot spend over $12 at the canteen until you've paid that fine. So they really stick it to you, and so it's absolutely not worth fighting in jail. Like, the amount of bullshit that you got to go through. Like, if you're towing the line and you get into a fight, it's really going to disrupt your daily progress. But yeah, as usual, like at the end of most videos, guys, like, just don't be doing this shit, and you won't be going to prison, and you will not be getting into any of this bullshit. The easiest way, I made a video yesterday saying, put the bag away and pick your kids up, and that's what you absolutely should be doing. All this crime shit is bullshit, and it is absolutely fake, and it's one big facade. So, I always say, you always see the people with the flashy stuff, but you never see the bullshit that those people had to go through to be there, and yeah, I always say it, and it is not worth it, guys. It is not worth it. It's not worth going to jail, because jail's going to be somewhat easy on you. It's going to be hard on your mum. It's going to be hard on your wife, your missus, your kids, all of them people, you know, don't get to speak to their dad every day. You know, think about this shit. These are the little things that people don't think about when they're about to go do a crime, when I think these are the things that really should be in people's forefront when they're going to do crime, because you are going to end up in jail, and if you don't end up in jail, that means you're a snitch. And I don't care how good you are at crime, you can do crime for 10 years and not go to jail or not be seen by the police. You are an absolute snitch, and therefore if you do end up in jail and you are a snitch, you are in big trouble. But like, you know, snitches need ditches, they say, and snitches always get found out. So, you know, this crime shit is bullshit, guys. Put that bag away, pick your kids up. And like I always say, use my life as an example. You know, I spent most of my adult life in prison. I spent years and years in a bike club, spent my youth in gangs, and it was just for nothing. At the end of the day, I've got nothing to show from that life except for scars. Scars everywhere, all over my body. I've been stabbed 7 times, shot. You know, it ain't worth it, guys. Put the bag down, pick the kids up, and use me as an example. I am not a preacher, I'm a prime example. Chaos Chronicles all the way. I will see you lot in the next video. Let's go.
You're getting closer to pushing me off a life's little edge.